I don't know how to talk about movies if I'm not talking about them in a car. But we just got back from the movie theater. We're doing it on the couch this time since we don't have a car to talk about the movies in. So I got back from the Green Inferno, and you didn't want to go see that one with me.
I'm a wimp.
Oh, you would have loved it.
I would. I don't think that's true.
Have you seen really many other Amazon cannibal movies at all?
I saw Cannibal Holocaust when I was really young. I was like 12 or 13.
Yeah.
And
it's the best time to see Cannibal Holocaust.
It was at, like, up to that point, the most typical, like, girly teen girl sleepover.
And you watched Cannibal Holocaust?
And then we went down into the basement at, like, midnight or so, which is, like, super late.
Yeah.
And my friend was like, oh yeah, no, I found this movie and my brother says that, like, it's illegal because it's so scary, so we're gonna watch it. And I was like, we could also not do that, but everyone else
should report you then, because you have a snuff film.
I don't think those are illegal because they're too scary. I think they're illegal because they're illegal. What law did I break, sir? Breaking the law.
This movie is way too scary.
But,
the guinea pig series.
But yeah, I was like, we could not do that, but like the other 5 girls I was with was like, yes, let's do this. And so I watched like the entire movie like this. But I caught the turtle scene.
Yeah.
That's...
So you made it pretty far into the movie then.
Oh no, I just like occasionally...
Oh, okay. Oh, thank God a turtle is here.
It was actually more like this.
Yeah.
Like, behind a pillow.
But the music is telling me that this should all be very lovely.
So most of my experience with Cannibal Holocaust was not looking and just hearing my friends go, oh!
Turns out it was Cannibal Ferox's entire time.
I think I caught the scene of the girl with the pole, like, up her everything.
Oh, yeah, they just, like, they just find her and are recording it. That's actually one of my favorite scenes in that movie, because it's, like, the bad guy in that movie, the guy who's playing the director, is great. And, like, there's a great moment in the movie where in, like, 2 seconds you learn so much about this character in a mere 2 seconds, and it's when he's looking at that body, and he's like got this kind of sadistic like grin on his face, and then the guy behind the camera goes like, all right, Alan, we're shooting, and he instantly just like that goes into like, oh my God, this is just horrible. Like, who would do such a thing? And it's really great acting and really great directing too. These movies are I mean, I don't think I'm going to argue that these movies are necessarily high art by any stretch of the imagination. Cannibal Holocaust is an effective film. Like, it is genuinely disturbing. It's rather well acted. It's well directed too. The movie's got issues. It doesn't need to be fucking butchering animals like 98% of the movies in that subgenre do. Did
Green Inferno reference the like animal thing?
Kinda. Like, there's a part in the movie where they're on boats and they're on some boats and they pull over because one guy has to take a leak. So the person's like, all right, here's a machete. He's like, what's this for? And the guy's like, oh, it's in case you run into any snakes. He's like, I don't, maybe I can hold it. Because, like, we're going to be on this boat for, like, 3 hours. And so the girl's like, fuck it. This girl grabs a machete and runs off. And the guy's like, oh, do you have another machete? And he gives him a gun. And then they go in. Honestly, they could have just taken a leak right there on the fucking shore. But for some reason, of course, they go, like, deep in the jungle. And there's a tarantula that's about to crawl on the guy's dick. And he's pissed. And he's like, which... I don't know of a single person who would look away from their dick in that position. So he's, and you see this tarantula walking towards it, and then it cuts to the rest of them with the boat, and you just hear like 5 gunshots go off. Like, dang it, just touched my dick! I'm sure that was probably kind of maybe supposed to be a reference to that.
That sounds like it could be.
Yeah, and given that Eli Roth is a big fan of the genre, and man, I want to like Eli Roth movies so bad. I do. I do. I genuinely want to like them because I think in one of my older videos from several years ago, I might have said something to the effect of Eli Roth's one of the worst things to happen to horror. And I honestly really don't think that's true because Eli Roth is a director that he grew up with a lot of the same kind of movies that I did. He obviously knows his shit about movies. When you see him in interviews and when you see him talk about movies, he definitely knows his shit. He's actually comes across as a funny guy. He comes across as a funny, charming dude. He's an entertaining guy to listen to. And I certainly respect the fact that he definitely does keep this level of horror pretty R-rated and pretty raw, and because of him, we have a mainstream Amazon cannibal movie in theaters. And that's cool. I think that is cool. Fuck! I wish I liked this guy's writing. This movie though, it's honestly probably his best movie.
Oh, okay.
Which is kind of like saying this is the best sandwich at Dunkin' Donuts.
I feel like you feel about Eli Roth like I do about beer. Like, I really wish I liked this, but I just can't.
There are some good things about the movie, and there's some really obnoxious things about the movie. There was a lot of times where I did sit there thinking, like, it's cool seeing this. It's cool seeing a new Amazon cannibal movie, because a lot of those movies are pretty entertaining. Like, Cannibal Holocaust is, I feel, is a disturbing film, and Cannibal Ferox is entertaining and how over the top it is. Same with Mountain of the Cannibal God, like that's an entertaining adventure movie. And then you have like Eaten Alive, where Robert Kerman is hanging from a helicopter and cannibals are throwing spears and he's fighting them back. I mean, that's just entertaining in and of itself. And it's mixed in with also being kind of a Jonestown movie. Like, there's some really kind of fun stuff in this genre. So like it is cool seeing a new movie like that, and I appreciated that. I certainly did. If I'm ever in the future in the mood to watch a movie of that genre, this isn't going to be it.
Right.
I'm not going to be like, I feel like watching an Amazon cannibal movie, oh, I'm going to put in the Green Inferno. That's not going to happen. Like, I'm going to put in something like Ferox or Eaten Alive. The movie it starts out on a college campus, and the main characters in the movie are a group of, like, student protesters. Okay. Like, one of them is, like, when the main girl in the movie, when she really wants, like, in on this group, and she sees them protesting, the fact that the janitors don't have health insurance. Like, what do we want? Health insurance. Who do we want it for? Janitors. Like, okay.
That's a terrible chant.
It was something like that. So okay, she infiltrates this group, and their new mission is to stop bulldozing in Peru that will wipe out this civilization there, and it's the tribe you see in the trailers. It's the cannibals, and so they end up taking a plane to Peru, and then some boats, and they're wearing these work uniforms that the bulldozers are wearing. So they put these on, and they put masks on, and they chain themselves to trees, and they got their cameras out and everything. And there's dialogue in the movie where, like, the leader of this group, Alejandro, I think is his name, the leader of this, they say to the leader of the group, like, wait, is there a chance we could get killed? And he's like, oh, there's always a chance. Like, there's a militia there. There's bulldozers and then there's militia. Like, hey, you know. if they kill one of us, they have to kill all of us. And then one dude is like, well, like, I don't know, shouldn't we have guns? And then the guy holds up his cell phone and is like, this is our guns. So, they chain themselves to trees, and the main girl in the movie, her lock doesn't lock, so one of the militia guys takes her from the chains. She's like, oh my god, it's not locking, it's not locking! And he takes her from the chains and puts a gun to her head and says, like, stop what you're doing, which I feel is something he could have done regardless if her lock worked or not.
Pretty much. Yeah. Give me 1 second, sorry.
Oh yeah, no problem. So, they catch all of this on camera, and it makes the militia guys step down, and they make like they're gonna like go away and no longer bulldoze this like area. And so they're like, yay, woo, we did it. And the one girl's like, motherfucker, you were gonna let him kill me. And then their plane crashes. Their plane crashes, and since they're still wearing these suits, the cannibals assume that they're with this group that's like destroying everything. And then it turns into an Amazon cannibal movie. It's basically what it is. It's kind of like if an Amazon cannibal movie had slasher movie characters. That's really literally what this is. Because there's the douchebag guy, there's the main girl, who's kind of like the innocent of the movie. And then there's the stoner guy. There's poor black dude who is the first one to die. In the worst way. Oh, just God. The worst fucking way. And then there's like, there's a lesbian couple who were with him. And so the, instantly they take this dude and they pin him down and they like gouge his eyes out and eat them. They're like, and they just fucking eat them. Then they rip his tongue out and eat his tongue and just chop his legs off, arms off, head off, and then they start cooking him, which honestly, like, to be fair, he was the biggest guy there. It made sense. He was the first one to get eaten. In fact, they even say that in the movie. The Alejandro guy's like, oh, you know, we got like 3 days before the bulldozer guys are coming back. We're honestly lucky they picked him first. They'll be feeding off of him for days. Jeez. The main... See, one of my biggest problems with this movie is with this character. Like, he's the character that...
The douchebag guy?
The douchebag guy. Okay. No, not the poor guy who gets eaten. Like, he was actually one of the more likable characters in it. The Alejandro, the douchebag guy in the movie, you're definitely meant not to like him. That's totally the case. You're supposed to find him insufferable. He is so insufferable. Like, to the point of it not even being realistic in any way, shape, or form. Like, I get it, like, the movie is, like, having some laughs at, like, kind of the extremes of a guy like this, but the thing is one, the guy's acting is not good. Like, it's honestly distracting how bad his acting is in it. He almost sounds like what some of the actors in the other Amazon movies might sound like if their voices weren't dubbed. His delivery is terrible. There is nothing this character does that makes it believable that these people would follow him into the jungle. Because he's not charismatic, he's not likable, he's an open douchebag prick to, like, every single person there. And the idea that anyone would follow this guy to some third world country to take on a militia, that's asking a lot of me in a subgenre where, you know, like, it's easy to accept really extreme stuff that happens in them. This guy was just too much. Like, there's a part where he just suddenly just starts jerking off out of nowhere. Like, they're like, what are you doing? He's like, you think clearly when you have, like, a good release, so I need a really good release. And they're like, you motherfucker, and they start choking him, and he starts jerking off even more. This is after they've been captured. This is when they're in, like, their, like, cell or whatever, with their bamboo cell. Um, and the thing about Eli Roth is he writes the most fucking obnoxious characters and makes you have to spend so much time with them before anything happens. And that's kind of the case here, but at least in the case here, there are fairly decent characters in it. The girl in the movie is perfectly fine. Like, I was rooting for this character throughout the movie. But man, you have to spend the whole movie with this other guy. He is in the entire movie. And he doesn't die. He doesn't. Like, I'm gonna have... This goes into the ending a little bit, but... before then, honestly, you're kind of just waiting around for these people to sort of get captured and then eaten. There's just kind of a lot of waiting around in it. Like, the other movies had way more of a sense of adventure than this one did. This movie's pretty remote. Like, a lot of it is just kind of in the bamboo cell that they're sitting in. The most graphic part of the movie is probably when that poor dude just gets, like, just everything cut off and eaten. Other than that, like, other than that, it was, oh god, there's the special effects in the movie, the graphic effects, like, Greg Nicotero worked on the effects for this, and, like, when dude's getting, like, shit cut off, and, like, arms are going missing, eyes, tongues, and all that, it looks good, it looks impressive, and then, all of a sudden, there is just this awful CGI death in the movie that is so out of nowhere. And honestly, as much as I don't like Eli Roth, he should really have fucking known better. There's a scene in the movie where one of the guys is tied up on a pole, and then they smear a bunch of stuff on him. And I'm like, okay, they're probably going to put ants on him. And that's what they do. They put ants on him. These ridiculously fucking CGI ants crawling all over his body that were more cartoonish than those fucking fire ants from Crystal Skull. Like, this looked like that scene in, like, Hostel 3, which I know Eli Roth didn't direct, but it just made me think of this in Hostel 3 when that woman gets cockroaches poured on her, and it's just these cartoon-looking cockroaches all going in her mouth and shit. And so the guy's on this pole, and these ants have kind of bit him up a little bit, and then he's just like, kill me. I'm like, really? You just got bit by some ants. Like, other dude got it way worse than you. You have a chance. You could probably be cut down. And then one of the cannibals just cuts his throat. And it was the good cannibal that did it. Like, there's, like in a lot of these movies, there's typically always, like, a good one. And that's the case here. Like, there's this little kid that helps him out because the biggest threat in this is this, like, female circumcision ceremony. There's a part where they grab all three of the women who have been captured, and the woman who's in charge, or the mayor of this village, and she has this kind of hook thing, and she's checking to see which one of them are on their period. And the main girl is. So they are preparing her for this, like, female circumcision ceremony, and that's actually fairly intense, because it's like, man, I really don't want to see this happen. And, like, at the last second, like, she gets rescued, and then the rest of it is she escapes. And there's one part of the movie, because the movie, I mean, it's an Eli Roth film, so a lot of stuff in the movie, like, tries having a sense of humor. Some of it's kind of funny, like the part where the guy is like, this is our guns, like, that's kind of funny, but that's early on in the movie before he got really obnoxious. There's stupid parts, like where the cannibals are, like, feeding them, they give them a bowl of some shit, and then one of the girls is sitting there and just goes, but I'm vegan, like, and what else? Oh, there's a part in this movie, this was actually kind of funny, where, the pothead guy in the movie had scored some pot in Peru, and so, the girl who said she was vegan, she, like, cuts her own throat at one point in the movie, and they know that means that they're about ready to cook her. So their plan is to stuff this guy's pot just down in her throat. So when they cook her, they'll be fucked up on pot. And that's what happens. Like, they cook this woman and they're eating it, and then they act stupid. Like, the guy that you see, like, on the poster, who's got, like, the big bone sticking through the thing, he's sitting there, like, and, like, batting at this severed head, like, like that, and, like, they're just acting ridiculous, and one guy just falls out of a tree, and one's, like, chasing a chicken around, and things like that, and so one of them ends up trying to escape during all of this. I don't know, a couple of them do, but anyway, the pothead guy gets, like, left behind, or the douchebag guy gets him with a poison dart and has him leave him behind. So when he wakes up, they're like, the cannibals are there and they're like kind of laughing at him, like, ee, and like poking him, and he's like, oh man, they're still high. And then he does like the thing with his fingers, like,
Yeah.
and then one of them like takes a bite out of his finger and he goes, no, they have the munchies. It's literally his line. The fucking Amazon cannibals took some pot and got the munchies, and then they chase him and just all eat him. Like, you see some guts coming out and things like that. Not quite, like, to the level of, like, Cannibal Ferox, where they're just pulling organs out of him like it's bubble tape. But I'm like, I never thought I would see one of these movies where they just get fucking baked and eat a guy because they have the munchies. I'm like, that's kind of humorous. That's largely what I mean too about how, like, this is a slasher movie cast.
Yeah.
That happens to be in a movie like this. At the end of the day, I would say this is probably worth a Netflix. Like, I've seen way worse Eli Roth stuff in this. The stuff in this movie that annoys me is kind of the same type of stuff that has annoyed me about his other movies, but not done nearly as obnoxious or as much as some of his other movies. Like, yeah, this movie has douchebaggery in it, but it's really just one guy. Yeah, you have to put up with him through the whole movie, but it's just one guy, as opposed to the entire cast, like fucking Hostel or Cabin Fever. So, alright, at least that's somewhat toned down. For the most part, the violence is impressive. The tribe they're cool looking. They're all in these red, fucking blood red, like, war paint and shit like that. That's cool. The main guy with the big bone out of his face is impressive looking. So of course there's a part where it isn't him, but there is a part where one of them just gets that shit just ripped out of their nose. But then it gets to, like, the last 5 minutes of this movie some of it had to have been, like, studio notes. I'm like, okay, so when the girl gets back, she's rescued by the militia. And when the girl, she's the only one that survives, and she leaves the douchebag guy there. She leaves him there to die. And I'm like, you're kidding me. He's dying off camera. Like, I had to sit through this whole fucking thing, and I don't get to see anything happen to this guy. Like, I was at least sitting there like, okay, like, this guy is a little too much, is a little too fucking obnoxious. Like, this guy is barely a character, he's just a straight up caricature, and not even a good one. Like, cause he's not even acting well in the movie, and there's just nothing charismatic or charming about this guy. There was at least, like, the thought in my head, like, okay, there's probably gonna be some kind of payoff here. Like there is with every one of these, okay, like Giovanni Lombardo Radice is the bad guy in Ferox. I didn't find it. that guy had the time of his life in that movie. He was entertaining as fuck in that movie, but he's the villain of that movie, and you see him get castrated and like his hand chopped off and his brains eaten. The filmmakers in Cannibal Holocaust, like that's a good climax to that movie. I'm waiting for that with this movie, and it doesn't happen. I'm like,
oh, that's frustrating.
I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. And then it keeps going. So, the girl, this is actually kind of the ending to Cannibal Ferox, where, and this didn't even make sense in Cannibal Ferox either, because in Cannibal Ferox, the girl is there to do like a thesis on whether cannibalism exists in the third world countries, and then she discovers that it does. But at the end, she puts out a book that says, no, it doesn't exist. And it is kind of like, why? Like, your friends just died for nothing. That kind of happens here. Like, the girl survives, and then she's like, this tribe saved me. Like, they were really nice to me and treated me well. Like, I saw no problem with them whatsoever. Like, we don't need to be destroying their land or something like that. And I'm like, is this just here because that's kind of like the ending to Cannibal Ferox? Like, this makes no sense. If I survived that shit, I'd go back and be like, nuke 'em! Fuck this protest shit. I almost got my shit cut off. Fuck these people.
This is technically quiet hours in my building.
Oh, sorry. Look, I'm talking cannibalism up here. Maybe whoever heard me also saw the movie and is equally as frustrated by this. Like,
The entire rest of the apartment complex, right?
Yeah, thank you. My God. The militia saved her ass at the end of this. And then they fucking, like, machine gun blast a bunch of these people. And again, fucking good. Like, yeah, if I survived this shit and saw my friends eaten by, like, ants and, like, their eyes cut out, like, fuck off.
So, there's 5 of them who are in the movie, right?
Of the group, like, half of them die in the plane crash, and then the rest is stoner guy, black guy, lesbians, bearded guy, douchebag guy, and the main girl, so like 7.
Okay, what happens to the other 2? Because you told me the vegan slits her throat, the stoner gets eaten.
The stoner gets eaten, the black guy gets eaten, bearded guy gets covered with ants, Alejandro lives, main girl gets away, and the tattooed lesbian, she dies off camera, but like she almost gets away, but then that shit that they're eating, when the girl's like, I'm vegan, she sees that it's her that they're eating because the bowl is like lined with her skin, and it's like you can see her tattoo.
Oh,
and
okay.
She looks over and the kids are playing with cut off pieces of her skin that are like her tattoos. So she dies off camera, but I mean that was a pretty good scene. And that's when the girl throws the bowl down and like slits her throat. So then the girl, I've seen this in, Blumhouse put out this movie, and I've seen this in so many Blumhouse horror movies that makes me think, like, was this added like a couple years later when Blumhouse decided to pick up the rights and release this movie? Because there's a scene where the girl is in school and someone comes up behind her and puts a hand on her, and she turns around and it's Alejandro, and he's like, I made it out! And then she's like, oh my God. And then she turns into a vampire or like some kind of monster, like with like demon teeth. She turns it like, yeah, kind of like a demon or something. Badly CGI demon teeth, and just and jumps at him, which is the same type of shitty fucking jump scare I've seen at the end of like most Blumhouse horror movies. Like even the good ones have like that is just gotta be in their contract somewhere. Like you do a movie that's released by Blumhouse, it's gotta have a cheap jump scare near the end of it. And I don't know if that was the case here, but this was wildly out of place in the movie and tonally had nothing to do with anything else, and just seemed like something from so many of these movies.
So was that like a dream? Or does
It was a dream.
Oh, okay.
Oh, if the movie ended like that, I would have been like, you can suck my cock, movie. No, it was a dream. She wakes up, like, her college roommate was really annoying in this. Like, really stereotypical, like, dumb, blonde kind of college girl. But she doesn't go on the trip with him, which, thank God. So, yeah, he kind of sidelined her after a while. And so then it ends, and I was walking out, and then I start hearing voices again. And I'm like, okay, there's a bonus scene. I'm like, maybe it's going to be that motherfucker getting killed. Oh yeah, because she looks out the window and sees the same protesters outside, and they're protesting for, like, his release or something like that, and they're wearing shirts with his face that look kind of like a Che Guevara shirt.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, is he still alive? Is he just captured or something? Like, can you please just show this guy dying? Please show this guy dying. And then in the middle of the credits, it turns into, like, satellite vision from space, which is something I never thought I would see in one of these movies. And suddenly we're now hearing the voice of the main girl talking on the phone to the sister of Alejandro, and, like, you don't see that, you just hear their voices, and it keeps zooming in as this goes on, and she's like, I am Alejandro's sister, I have evidence my brother might still be alive, and when it zooms all the way in, it's like him standing there and, like, looking up towards, I guess he can see the satellite in space. I don't know, because he's looking up in that direction. And then the sister's like, we need to talk. And then it ends, and I'm like, did this movie just sequel bait? Like, what the fuck? Fuck off. This movie just fucking sequel baited. Like, it was like the end of The Last Airbender with the fucking with the girl at the end of that movie, like now the party begins, or, you know, like a stupid ending like that. Like, what in the shit was that? Like, are we making another one of these movies, are we? I never thought I would see sequel baiting in a fucking Amazon cannibal movie.
With the one dude you want to die still being alive.
Yeah.
Like, maybe the entire sequel will just be him being slowly killed.
That would be like if Cannibal Holocaust ended with, but then there was another reel. The end. Okay. What? I've already seen them die. What's this other reel? Just them pissing on the cannibals? It's the only thing we didn't see them do. Oh, speaking of, yeah, another part where this movie gets really stupid is, like, there's a random shit joke in it where they're in their little bamboo cells, and, like, one girl is like, guys, I just don't feel so good, and she runs over and just cartoonishly shits all over the place. Well, I mean, it doesn't show, like, shit flying, but just the sound effects, and the cannibals are standing there like, ha 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 ha, ooh, like really, or what are we doing here? Come on. Like, I mean, yeah, okay, there's this scene in Jungle Holocaust where the kids are pissing on the guy, but that's a little different than, like, we just put, like, a frat comedy shit joke in the middle of the movie. Like, god damn, I wish this guy was a better writer. This movie also does something in the ending credits, which I hope to God is not something that I start seeing more of. On the cast list, it puts the actors' Twitter handles next to their names. Like, dead serious. It's cast, character, actor, Twitter handle.
Oh my god.
Like, I pray to... Like, it is bad enough that when you see trailers for a movie, and instead of a critical quote, it'll be some guy on Twitter.
I mean, I don't know. It wouldn't really bother me all that much if they had, like, Twitter handles and credits. But,
Really?
like, not really. I mean, like, typically I don't really watch the credits all that closely anyway, so...
Well, not that I, like, stay during the entirety of the credits or anything like that, but... I mean, that's one step. Like, I mean, what's next? Are we gonna put, like, the personal web pages of every actor on the fucking movie as well? Like, really? We're fucking doing... Are they gonna start advertising the person's Tumblr account now?
I mean, I'm not saying I'm like, yeah, that's like the greatest innovation I've ever heard of, but like, I really would not give a fuck. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I need to find out what lesbian cannibal number 2
what her Twitter handle is.
Yeah, but like...
Oh yeah, that's another thing too.
I need to know what she thinks about pizza and cats.
Well, that's an interesting thing, because what is the point of it? Who is going to whip out their phone fast enough when they're watching the credits for a movie in the theater to be like, wait, what was that? What was that? Oh, sweet, follow. Like, who is going to do that? Oh.
Yeah,
And plus they do that on... That's now on actors' IMDb pages, so...
Yeah, like, if you care that much, you could probably just Google them and find it.
Yeah. I really hope that that's not gonna turn into a thing.
I think it would be stupid if they did, but, like, I also don't really care that much.
Well, I mean, it's not like I'm gonna be protesting it with Alejandro.
Well, you can't. He's still with the Cannibals.
Oh, but is he? I mean, I would... If you're an Eli Roth fan, you'll like this. But, I mean, I couldn't really recommend this beyond, like, watching it on Netflix, probably. I mean, like I said, some of it's perfectly fine. Like, I liked that I was rooting for the main girl in the movie, which is rare to see in an Eli Roth movie, that you're rooting for anyone. The special effects, with the exception of the ants and that demon face at the end, were good. And it was cool seeing another cannibal movie like this in theaters. Even if this would not be on my list of, like, the best ones. But it's not a good enough movie for me to... Even from those merits, for me to be like, you should totally pay to see this in theaters. I mean, I think it's more so worth a Netflix. There's, I don't even, in terms of horror movies, Blumhouse also recently put out The Gift, and that's 1,000,000 times better than this movie. I mean, it kind of was what it was. So if you're an Eli Roth fan, you'll probably really like it. I don't think you'd like this movie.
Yeah, I don't either.
You might like the part with the cannibals getting high and chasing the guy because they have the munchies. It wasn't that. I mean, it was better than the movie you saw. You want to talk about that for a sec?
Yeah, sure, if you want me to. I feel like you already have 2 videos out on it. But, yeah, I went and saw War Room.
The Green Inferno is a better movie than War Room. I'm not so sure you made the wisest decision. But at least it was funny, like, because your movie got out after mine did. And afterwards, I said something like, yeah, my movie was out, was over 20 minutes ago or something like that. And you had said, my movie ended 30 minutes ago. It just kept fucking going. Like, oh, I remember. I was there. When I found your theater, I went to go peek in around the corner to see if I could see you sitting there. And I saw you sitting there, and, like, it was the double Dutch scene, and it looked like you were just kind of playing with, like, I think your hair or something. You're just watching this fucking thing. And then when it was doing the montage at the end, like rise up our army, blah blah blah. I like peeked around again and just on your phone.
I watched the rest of it. I was only on my phone because I was trying to find us a car.
And being on your phone is much better than War Room.
But I mean, I paid attention to most of it.
God forbid any of the jokes of that movie are missed out on.
Oh my god, when she was sitting in the closet and she noticed something smelled bad and it was her shoes. Oh my god, I totes died. So funny.
I ain't touching your feet. Was it everything we said it was?
It was almost made better by the woman next to me who was having the most extreme reactions to anything I'd ever seen. Oh my god.
Oh, you said she was crying.
She was sobbing through like half of it. Like the scene where, like, the mom realizes she's been, like, paying so much attention to the fight that she's been having with her husband that she's been neglecting her daughter. The daughter's like, the woman next to me was crying before the characters in the movie even were. Like, the daughter's like, what's the name of my double Dutch team? And the mom's like, I don't know, the firecrackers or fireworks or something like that. And the daughter's like, no, that was my team last year. The woman next to me just goes, oh, baby! Or she's like, baby girl! Like, something like that. I'm just like, man, really?
We didn't have that in our audience. We just had a bunch of, like, middle-aged housewives who were laughing at, like, all the stupid jokes, but I don't remember any crying or anything like that.
Oh, at the end of the movie when, like, the old woman was like, we need to create a new, like, a new generation of warriors. Like, the woman was just like, like, when I was leaving, like, she was there with, like, another woman, too, and, like, the woman next to her was like, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright.
You should have, when that was going on, you should have just jumped up and just went, fuck yeah!
Oh my god, like, every single, like, not even a joke that happened, this woman was laughing hysterically. Every moment that was even remotely positive, this woman was, yeah! Yes!
Don't you forget to put Jesus in the police report
yes!
now. Too many of you always forget that. That's why we have so many problems in the world.
I forgot about that scene, too. No, I'm not gonna give you my money. You put that knife away in the name of Jesus!
Stab, stab, stab. Stab, stab, stab. Stab, stab. Credits.
I did like the woman being like, when the policeman was like, what worries me, ma'am, is that kind of behavior could have gotten you stabbed. She's like, people are gonna do what they're gonna do.
Stab.
I'm like, I mean, everything else aside, it's a pretty badass attitude to have. If someone's gonna stab me, they're gonna.
What? They're fucking gonna. One guy in my movie was like that. Well, phew, they're gonna eat me. That's what they're gonna do. The movie was over, and I was like, well, your movie had really questionable, slightly misogynistic morals to this movie. My movie...
I just don't know how to submit to them.
My movie had an almost female circumcision sequence.
On, like, her prayer wall, like, answered prayers... it said something like, Barbara cured her lupus, or something like that. Like, all of the other ones were like, Nancy started going to church again, because I was reading them, like, really fast. It was like, Nancy started going to church again.
Be gone, demon plague, like, lupus.
Like, Anthony got baptized, or something. And, like, Barbara cured her lupus was, like, the one in the very center. Like,
Taco Bell brought back volcano menu.
Taco Bell created those Captain Crunch bites. Love that crunch.
We're getting a sequel to Ride Along. War Room is #1 at the box office. Wow. Oh, man. So, would you recommend seeing War Room?
No.
What about for laughs? What about for, like, shits and giggles?
Honestly, not really. Yeah. Like, yes, but leave, like, 30 minutes before it actually ends. Like, honestly, like, the last humorous thing that happens in that movie is, like, I'll take this house, the prayers baked into the walls. Like, at that point, just peace out. Just nothing, like, nothing even, like, ironically funny happens. I mean, there's the last speech, but it's really not worth sitting there for. Like, just insert a bunch of vaguely inspirational
That speech is honestly the teaser trailer. Like, that was pretty much the teaser trailer.
Oh, pretty much,
for the movie.
yeah. Mm-hmm. There's that, and then the dude, like, I don't even remember which happens first. No, the dude rubbing his wife's feet happens first. The dude gives his wife a sundae, because she mentioned earlier that she could go for a sundae. Like, when you described it to me, like, you actually, like, that last scene made more sense, because in the movie he was just kind of like, what do you want out of life? And she's like, right now I could use a sundae and a foot rub. Like, just, look, I would love it if she was kind of like, I was craving a sundae then, now I'm kind of full.
I want it now.
But no, she does specifically mention that she skipped dessert, so...
And rub my feet. Make sure you wear a gas mask. Yeah, there was...
Oh god, everyone, like, I thought the people in the theater were going to pee themselves. The woman next to me was sobbing and laughing at the same time. Literally. Like, she was like, when he hands her the sundae, she just, like, broke down, and I don't think she stopped crying for the rest of that movie. But then, like, when he put the gas mask on, she was like... like...
I was sobbing and laughing, too. Probably for completely different reasons. I was sobbing because this movie is still going.
Yeah, I even sent you a text like, I don't understand why this movie is still happening.
I left my phone back here. I needed it to charge, so I just got that a second ago. I'm like, oh man,
is the movie
she's still
happening?
She's still apparently in the theater. I guess it was really long. Well, the next one of those movies coming out is, I think, Woodlawn.
That one I actually want to see.
Woodlawn? I want it to come out so I can stop seeing trailers for it.
You leading these kids? No, sir, I was an atheist. I was an atheist when I woke up this morning. These kids are leading me.
Wow, I'm not sure this character's was that convicted in her atheism. What changed your mind? Football. Okay.
Look, I'm not going to deny what happened to these kids here is pretty incredible, but we're a public school.
There are no public schools. Yes, there are. You can't be doing this.
Like, I love that makes them the villain. Yeah. I just... Okay.
Well,
separation of church and state, separation of church and my ass.
Oh, if they say that, awesome. Yeah, Dave and I will be at that in a couple weeks, whenever that comes out. And next week, I can't remember what next week is. At some point, I'm going to try to see, like, because I know Hotel Transylvania 2 also came out, and I still haven't seen Everest. So maybe I'll try seeing that, like, during the week sometime, but other than that, I cannot remember what comes out Thursday, so I'll have to check. I don't know. I'm gonna be on a bus for like the next 12 hours.
At least you don't have like a 90-something degree. Well, no, 90-something isn't even a fever. I had a pretty high fever.
That was when I came back from like MagFest when the polar vortex happened, and I was stuck in Chicago.
Yeah, I was even thinking about that while I was sitting in the train station listening to this toddler scream about how much he wanted to watch Frozen, while her like baby sister is crawling into a terminal when no one seems to care.
Well, final thoughts. Green Inferno. Better than The War Room.
Final thoughts.
Exactly. Later.